Now, despite the dip today, the NSE All Share Index is up 29% in 2013, making it one of the top performers on the African continent. The bourse is now less dominated by foreign investors compared to the same period a year ago, so reflecting some of the reforms we've seen over the last 2 years. However, investors continue to hold their breath for the first listing on the bourse in 2013. Joining us now to give us his thoughts on the market's performance this year is CEO Oscar Onyeama. Thank you so much for joining us, Oscar. And like I mentioned, we're seeing a pretty strong revival of the market. We saw a great year last year. So far, the first half has been positive. And I think the big takeaway is that the local investors are coming back to the market gradually. But like I did mention in the intro there, we're still holding our breath for the first listing. So in your view, how would you summarize the first half of this year?
It's been a very interesting half year so far. Trading volumes and values have significantly picked up. I think we're doing about $31 million in value traded on a daily basis,
Right.
which is a significant increase over last year.
Right.
When we were doing about 17.5 million.
Right.
With regards to new initiatives, we should see a combination of a lot of work in the second half of the year.
Okay, and I think some of the things that, like I did mention earlier, people are hoping for that first listing. What can you tell us about when we're likely to see that?
You mean the first IPO or the first listing?
The first. I think people are. I think there are two things here, but let's focus on the listing. When can we see more companies listed? A lot of people want exposure to Nigeria's oil sector, agri sector. They're hoping to see a lot more companies listed. So when can we see that?
You know, we've been doing a lot of work with regards to engaging target companies, prospect companies, and at the end of the day, the decision is really their decision. But we certainly continue to engage them to make sure that they understand the value proposition of a listing. So I can't give you specifics, but we certainly are working towards additional listings this year.
All right. If we review some of the initiatives you've taken, of course, we've seen improvement in market surveillance. We've seen plans to upgrade technology, and of course, the ASM market. I think that's a key development there. Can you just talk us through the big things we can anticipate in the second half of 2013?
For us, the biggest thing is the rollout of our new technology platform, which we're still targeting third quarter of this year. That should make the market more accessible and also give us increased capacity and speed. The system will support equities, exchange-traded funds, and fixed income when it's rolled out third quarter. So we anticipate that it should allow for different types of market participants to be able to access the market.
All right.
In the third quarter, we would continue to work so that by the second half of this year, we would be able to roll out additional initiatives that we've been working on, such as whistleblower initiative. We're codifying a lot of our rules so that we can continue to have strong regulation in the marketplace,
right?
But without surprising people.
Right.
And we're also working on introducing index-based circuit breakers. These circuit breakers, as you know, we have a 10% limit up, limit down for single stocks. Right. So we're looking at the entire index now, the All Share Index. Right. And we should be releasing a draft rule for people to comment on by next week.
All right. If you can just comment on the possibility of integration of African markets. I know you're the Vice President of the African Securities Exchanges Association, and I think a lot of people are looking for that. When people talk about integration in Africa, they're hoping that even the markets can be integrated at some point. So I know that there is an initiative to do such in West Africa. So can you just talk us through the possibilities going forward?
You know, the possibilities, Africa is really a big continent. So I wouldn't hold my breath to see one market anytime soon. However, there's a significant effort on a sub-regional basis to have common rules, common technology and the like and have larger pools of liquidity on a sub-regional basis. Right. On a regional basis, we are working on the ASEA platform, as you've mentioned, to give more visibility to African exchanges. There are about 23 exchanges on ASEA, representing 29 countries from the continent. So give more visibility, position exchanges as a veritable form of driving economic and societal change, and then working as one group to influence policymakers and also interact with potential partners like the ADB, for example, which
right.
is busy issuing bonds right now on various exchanges.
Right.
As you're aware, we also negotiated the FTSE index. This is an index that is a Pan-African index that showcases African companies that meet the requirements for being on the index. Yeah. So those are some of the things that ASEA is driving. ASEA is also an information clearinghouse. So if you go to the ASEA website, you will get information on the various exchanges that are participants and members of ASEA.
Okay, Oscar, thank you for joining us. And on that point about integration, I really look forward to the day when investors who want exposure to the BRVM can get that exposure from Nigeria. I really think it's something that we need to get going. But thank you for joining us today. Oscar Onyema, the CEO of Nigeria Stock Exchange.